everybody, JC here with another T&I toy review, and today's review is in association with MarvelousNews.com, your #1 news source for everything Marvel. And for today's review, we're going to be taking a look at the new Marvel Infinite Series 4-inch Armored Daredevil figure. Now this figure is part of the second wave of Infinite Series figures for this year. It comes packaged in the same style of packaging we've seen with all the Infinite Series figures. You've got that logo up top, the little icons for the Avengers, and then the figure clearly displayed on the card back. On the back, we have a look at the figure and a little brief bio in multiple languages, and then a look at some of the other figures in the assortment. Okay, so let's get this open and take a look at what's inside. Okay, so here's a look at the figure outside of the packaging. Now, first of all, I gotta say that this is actually one of my favorite looks for Daredevil. I know back in the 90s when this armor debuted, a lot of people did not like it, and it's probably why it didn't last very long, but I was actually a very big fan of this look. Now, I don't think we've gotten a figure of this version of Daredevil since the old Toy Biz 5-inch line. I still have that figure someplace, but I wasn't able to track it down for the review. But again, I really like this look for Daredevil. I like the black and red colors on it, the silver metallic for the armor and stuff. However, this figure, you know, being one of the new figures this year, unfortunately, once again has very lackluster articulation, and frankly the paint applications are a little sloppy on this one as well. So I don't hate this figure, but I'm not super excited about it either, unfortunately, even though again it is one of my favorite looks for Daredevil. So just to start off, he comes with one accessory. So he comes with one billy club, and it's similar to the billy club that we've gotten with previous Daredevil figures, though it's a little bit shorter and it's done with a metallic silver to give it that armored kind of look. So just to give you a comparison, here's and it doesn't connect, so it's its own thing. Like the regular Daredevil figure has the billy clubs that connect together, so you can see it's definitely a little bit shorter. So he can hold it in his right hand. Or I'm sorry, yeah, his right hand. His left hand is closed-fisted. And then for his second billy club, they've attached it to his wrist. You know, on this figure, he holds the billy clubs on his wrists. It's not removable though, unfortunately. So the one is loose and cannot attach to his right wrist, and then the other one is attached to his wrist and you can't remove it from the wrist. So basically one is stationary and the other you can use. But he only comes with one actual billy club. So that's a little disappointing. It would have been nice if they had made the billy club so they could just attach to his wrists and that you could remove both of them, but they didn't, unfortunately. So the paint applications, as I mentioned, there's some sloppiness. So up here on the shoulder joints, you can see they did not paint the joint all silver, so you've got the black showing, and then you can just see some black splotches on the silver armor pieces as well. Again here, you know, very sloppy here on the shoulder pads. Not very impressed with that. He's got this red splotch on his face on my figure, so other than that, the face is okay. He's got the red eyes, and the skin tone is decent. The red on his chest, for the most part, seems to be pretty clean, and the double D on his chest looks good. Again, down here with the billy club that's attached to his wrist, though, there's some sloppiness. You can see some silver splotches on the red, so very kind of sloppy there. A little bit bleeding on the black onto the red up here on his upper arm. So, you know, not a very strong paint job on this figure, unfortunately. Scale-wise, this figure stands at just a little over 4 inches tall. He's basically about the same height as the Daredevil, the regular Daredevil released in the Marvel Universe line. So scale-wise, they're pretty similar, and the scale seems to be pretty decent. Articulation on the figure, again, like with most of the figures released in this line this year, is somewhat lackluster and definitely far less less articulation than we've previously seen on the Marvel Universe figures. And especially for an agile character like that, it's definitely kind of disappointing. So the head is on your standard ball joint, so he can look left and right. No real up or down movement with this one. A little bit, but not a whole lot. arms are attached with your standard ball hinge joint, so he can get his arm out good, and he does have good rotation there at the arm. No bicep swivel, but he does have the swivel at the elbow. Single hinged elbow, so he can bend his elbow about that much. And then there is no wrist articulation on this figure, unfortunately. No midsection articulation on the figure either. Legs are attached with ball joints, so he can do the splits pretty good. And he can get his leg forward good. Can't really do his leg back much because of the butt. No thigh swivel. Does have double jointed knees, so he does have good bending at the knees. And then he has hinges and he has ankle pivot, so good movement at the ankle. And then 2 peg holes on the bottom of his feet. Okay, so that's my review. You know, overall, I can't say I'm super impressed with this figure, unfortunately. Even though I really like this look for the character, I'm pretty disappointed with the lack of articulation, though. I mean, that I was expecting. I was not expecting this to have high articulation. Most of the figures this year with the new sculpts are lacking the articulation we typically have seen in this line, unfortunately. I am hoping that maybe that'll change in the coming year, and maybe we'll see something at San Diego Comic-Con, which coverage begins on Marvelous News starting on Wednesday, July 8th. So I'm hoping that maybe we'll see some improvements with that, with the debuts this year for this line. But as it is, you know, this articulation is somewhat disappointing, especially with a highly agile character like Daredevil. I'm also not terribly impressed with the paint applications on this one. Definitely a lot of sloppiness in places on the figure. And then I'm also very disappointed with the lack of, with the accessory not being able to attach to his wrist and not being able to remove the other one from his wrist. I don't like that the one is stuck permanently to his wrist and the other one you can't attach to his wrist. It would have been really nice if they'd made that a feature of the figure. So that being said, you know, again, unless you're just a huge fan of this look for the character, you may want to pass on this figure. This figure is starting to hit shelves in online e-tailers along with the rest of the wave. So if you want to add it to your collection, start looking now. We'll have a full gallery of images over at marvelousnews.com. There's a link in the description below. And as always, you know, please leave a comment. Let us know what you think. If you're so inclined, please like the video. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. And until next time, I'll catch you later.